What's going on, guys? Welcome to the second playbook confirmation setup video. In this one, we're going to be looking into the rebid/reoffer. So the rebid/reoffer is simply used as a mechanism for us to validate the presence of buyers in demand and sellers in supply. Now, if you guys have not yet checked out my previous video, which is the first playbook setup video going over the trap participants, I would highly recommend checking that out. Tons of value in there, and once we're squared away with the information on the rebid/reoffer, feel free to go and check that out. So what is the rebid/reoffer? So this occurs when a participant reveals the intention to defend a price level/region by placing a passive order. That could be a bid or an ask. Bid is a passive buyer, ask is a passive seller. Price then trades into that passive liquidity and rejects it. Price then trades back into that same price level/region, which is then rebidded or reoffered. And so what this is doing is it's just simply revealing intention from passive participants to defend that price level/region. The setup is visualized and confirmed through the heat map. The rebid is used as confirmation to long the market from demand, and the reoffer is used as confirmation to short the market from supply. So now we're going to head over to Sierra charts, and we're going to walk through an example of the reoffer setup. This is the chronology of the reoffer. It's simply the order of events of what's occurring from the beginning to the end. And so we're going to walk through this list together. I'm going to replay the data so that you guys can extract as much value and as much understanding from this setup as possible. 6863.75, that's where this line is sitting right here, and we're going to see price break under this level to where reoffer activity is then going to occur. So before we replay this data, let's just go over the first few points so that you guys aren't overwhelmed when it comes to understanding what's going on. So I'm going to replay the data, and we're going to see a participant reveal intention by placing a passive sell order, or in other words, an offer at 6863.75. Price is going to trade back upwards into that level and then fill that passive selling liquidity. Price is then going to rotate to the downside, and once that occurs, I will pause the data and we can talk about what's happened and some key information. So let's do it. Price is breaking under 6863.75, and we can see a offer stepping in. What you guys are going to see is a string of aggressive market buy orders filling this passive selling liquidity at 6863.75. So you're going to see a consecutive line of green bubbles, which is simply aggressive market buy orders that are filling that passive selling liquidity. Now, in theory, if there are this many buyers at a price level, price should be able to break above it. However, since it's not, and since this upwards attempt beyond 6863.75 is going to be unsuccessful, this gives us a clue about where the market may head. And so at this point, nothing very significant has occurred. I mean, we do have a large amount of aggressive market buy volume filling this passive seller. As of right now, in this time, those buyers are being rewarded as price is broken above that level. And so what you guys are going to see is that price is going to break below this, and we're going to see this level then get reoffered. So at this point, we understand that aggressive buyers have filled the passive selling liquidity at 6863.75. Buyers attempted to push the value of price beyond this location. However, price moved back under 6863.75 to where this level is now being reoffered. So far, the information has not been very telling that sellers are going to successfully defend the supply zone, but now things are starting to heat up. We don't have valid confirmation yet to short the market. Things are starting to heat up, and get a bit more interesting in terms of sellers potentially defending this location. We can see that they're revealing intention, but we cannot be so antsy. We can't simply just jump in when we see this information. We have to wait for further development to see how price responds back into this re-offer. That is the whole point of this setup. And just a few things before we carry on with this. Don't think so rigidly about the re-offer or the rebid setup, or really any playbook setup. What this is all about is recognizing a repeated passive selling presence within the re-offer specifically. And so that's not to say that a offer and then re-offer activity has to occur at that same price level. It could be the case that an offer steps in right here, gets filled, price moves under it, and then pulls back into 6863.5, where the re-offer activity occurs. Under that condition, although it's not at the same price level, it's within the same region, and it's still validating that sellers are attempting to defend this price level, that passive sellers are stepping in to defend this price level. And so again, don't think so rigidly. It's not about the exact price level, it's just about sellers stepping in to defend that location. Secondly, the title re-offer implies that an offer is placed in the market to which price then rotates to the downside and then moves back into that same price level / region to where price then is re-offered and then moves to the downside. So under that scenario, there are two occasions for which an offer hops into the market and defends that level. However, it may be the case that a price level or price region is offered and then re-offered, 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 and re-offered again. It could be 4 times, 5 times, 10 times. There really is no limit to it. Again, it's just about the presence of that selling activity to defend that level. And that's really what matters here, is just identifying the pattern of sellers showing intention to defend that region. So just stay flexible. As you guys interact with the re-offer setup more and these playbook setups, you will see the variations. You'll be able to interpret it and read it better as you engage with these setups. So just a quick note there. So at this point, the market has moved back under 6863.75, and we can identify that this level is now being re-offered. And so this reveals active and real-time intention from passive sellers to defend this level. And what we're going to see over the next couple of minutes is price trading back into this level again, to which that liquidity is then re-offered and re-offered, where price continues to fill it and defend it. So let's continue to replay the data here. I'm going to speed it up a little bit. We're now in 3 times speed. And so look, the size at 6863.75 is just it's only getting thicker. And at this point, we have several hundred aggressive market buy lots at this price level. Why can't price break above? Why can prices not move to the upside? It's because there's a passive seller sitting here, revealing the intention to defend this level. And as of now, they are succeeding in that effort. And so at this point, I would say that entry confirmation is warranted, as price has offered, moved below it, moved back into it, re-offered, and then moved to the downside. But what we're going to see is that this happens consecutively. So price is going to come back into this level a 3rd time, a 4th time, to which the same activity occurs. And so you could argue that the longer that this is happening, the more intention, or the stronger that sellers are trying to defend that level. They really don't want to give up. They want to continue conducting business at that location to defend that level. And again, another note is that there's no time limit to this. Don't think of it in time, just think of it as intention. So that could be across 1 minute, that could be across an hour, right? And so now we just have several hundred lots, several hundred aggressive market buy orders attempting to raise the value above this level, but it only rejects back to the downside multiple times. And so momentarily, we're going to see price break above it. However, the upwards attempt from buyers is going to fail again. And at this point, if not short already. As we break below it, that would be a beautiful opportunity to exercise your risk under the thesis that sellers are defending this level. And so we're using order flow to actually validate and to use it as evidence to actually enter the market short, right? We're not just blindly entering. We're using the flow of orders coming in real time to actually have evidence to justify our ideas and our trades. So just consecutive moves back into this level, price unsuccessfully able to move above it, and here in just a few moments we're going to see price start to heat up back to the downside. There's really no sense in playing this further. You guys understand the gist and the main idea of this setup. Despite repeated attempts from aggressive market buyers to push price higher above 6863.75, price has failed to break through that level / region. The passive seller successfully defends that level / region. Price moves away in our direction, and confirmation is to enter short once price makes a fast move back to the downside after filling the reoffered liquidity. So participation could have been warranted right here. It also could have been warranted here as price repeatedly moves into this level and rejects back to the downside after that reoffer activity. And so this is the reoffer. We're not going to get into the rebid. It's simply the same thing, just flipped. So we would see a participant revealing intention by placing a passive buy order or a bid at a specific price trading into that level, filling that passive buying liquidity, rotating back to the upside, and then so on and so forth, right? So that's going to do it for the reoffer / rebid. If you guys have any more questions about this, be sure to hit me up. And now we can move into the third way, the third playbook confirmation setup that we can use to validate the presence of buyers in demand and of sellers in supply, which is going to be the low volume node. So I'll see you guys over in episode number 16.